So listen. We have an election coming up. We have a lot of people that are saying that, vote as if your life depended on it. Some people are saying, our ancestors died so we could vote. Some people are saying, I don't want to vote because they're saying I don't want to vote because of whatever reason. I'm not sure what the reason it is about. Some people say, well, I'm not going to be vote shame just because I don't want to vote and all this. I said, but we could do more than one thing to raise consciousness of everyone. If we want to share in the limited resources, we have to participate in the electoral process, whether it's locally or nationally.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you said we could do more than one thing. It's amazing with black people. We're able to do a million other things, right? We can be in our fraternity. We can be in our Masonic lodge. We can go to church. We can get our hair done and talk on the phone. We can buy a car and buy a house. But when it comes to black liberation, when it comes to our freedom, all of a sudden we become one-dimensional, and we can only put one tactic or strategy in play at a time. See, I am of the firm opinion that the reason why voting is so important to black people, and I mean presidential voting more than others, because with the other elections, you can actually determine the election through a simple majority, as opposed to the presidential election, it goes to electoral college, which is a way that they prevent the people from choosing the president. But anyway, the reason why it's so important for black people to vote is because we have no other strategy in place for liberation. We have nothing else. Congressional Black Caucus has nothing else in play for black people but another election. The NAACP, the Urban League, they have nothing else in play but another election. The black church has nothing else in play but another election. And so the reason why all black people are thinking that you have to vote or die, okay, is because the so-called leadership, the black bourgeoisie, the black aristocracy, has convinced everybody to believe that if you do not vote, then you are betraying your community. And what I find so ironic about that, Bob and David, it's amazing how if you don't vote, you betray your community. But when you move outside of your community, you don't betray it. When you marry outside your community, you don't betray it. When you waste your trillions of dollars outside your community, you don't betray it. When you waste billions for Christmas outside of your community, you don't betray it. Isn't it ironic that every other dysfunctional behavior that we engage in as African people is never considered a form of betrayal? But the minute you don't go vote for some white person for president, you're betraying black people. I find that laughable.
Okay, well, listen, we have another caller on the phone line wants to get in on the conversation. Good evening, caller. Welcome to New River. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Delaware. My name is Miss Kilgo.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I was calling to make sure I didn't miss it, but I just want to send a shout out to Dr.UMAR, and I'm just getting on the show, getting to listen in tonight.
This your first time listening?
No, I always listen.
Oh.
I like listening to him on this show.
Oh, I mean, first time listening to me on this New World View show. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah.
But this is you always welcome.
I
hope you don't be no stranger. Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you for the support, Sister Kilgo. Thank you for the support.
Can Dr. UMAR hear me?
Yes, he hears you loud and clear. He said, thank you so much for your support. Did you have any other questions or comments for the doctor?
No, thank you. Just listening.
Thank you so kindly. And don't be no stranger. We're here every Sunday with a lot of good information. We're fortunate to have Dr. UMAR every second Sunday of the month, but we have a lot. We have a heavy bench. We got Professor Carlton Jones, Michael A. Griffin, Phil Washington. In the 10 o'clock hour, we have Sabir Bey calling. He had his son here in Philadelphia shot 10 times and was killed last month. He's going to call in and talk about that, give us that story. So if you hang around and listen to that in the 10 o'clock hour. But right now, we're talking to Dr. Umar Abdul-Johnson. So, Doctor, I understand about you saying about the voting, and I agree, voting is just one of the tools that we should have in our bag to get some leverage on what our resources that we need. Because if we don't get any leverage on the resources that we need, then we don't get any of the resources that are scarce as it is.
And neither candidate is talking about resources for black people. And I find it ironic that whenever we get caught up in these presidential dichotomies, that nobody goes to the resources. Black America needs resources. We don't need laws. We don't need rights because they never enforce them anyway. So to me, fighting for a new law, fighting for a new right is a distraction away from the accumulation of power. Our focus should be on the accumulation of power. The United States of America is run by race and power. That is it. The planet Earth is run on race and power. And so we need to be dealing with how we're going to get power for our race within the country and across the world so that we can project our own agenda onto the planet. Everybody is projecting their agenda onto the planet. The East Indians are doing it. Chinese are doing it. The Russians are doing it. The Jews are doing it. The Anglo-Saxons are doing it. The Latinos are doing it. Mexicans are doing it. Everybody's projecting their agenda onto the planet. Everybody understands that the world is a big poker game, okay? And everybody with cards in their hand represents a different human family, otherwise known as a race. And the cards that are in their hand are being played so they can do what? Acquire more power. Black people are not looking for power. We're looking for access. If you have power, you don't need access. It takes me back to reparations, Baba David. Same thing with reparations. Black folks want money for reparations. I don't want any money for reparations. I want resources. Because if I have resources, I can generate my own money.
That's right. That's right. That's why I say so many layers to reparations. If it's a meaning of reparations to repair, we can repair a lot of things without the money. You know, just get out the way and I'll get it myself. You know, that's the first thing. You know, just acknowledge who I am, get out my way, and I'll get my own. Just, you know, if I'm entitled to some dividends, then so well, give me my dividends that I earned, that my foreparents earned, that you owe. You know, they should have been compensated for all that free labor that they put up and gave to you. And so if their descendants can still receive dividends and benefits from that, then we should be entitled to some dividends as well.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why we don't want to get caught in a money trap, because money runs out. But if you can have control over certain resources that cannot be depleted, then your benefit, your resources, your wealth can never expire. And black people, see, here's another big problem we have. So many of our people are financially illiterate. They cannot really have an in-depth conversation about reparations anyway, because for most of our people, all they understand is the paycheck, cash and paycheck, cash and paycheck. So naturally, if you have a conversation about reparations, once again, they're looking at cash and paycheck. We have to graduate away from cash and paycheck and, again, look at power, which is based on the accumulation of resources. We need to start accumulating resources and wealth, and then we develop power from that. But our people are so used to the rat race, and some of them are so trapped into this conspicuous consumerism consciousness that have them feeling like they can buy their way into freedom. And by the way, that's one of the biggest reasons why we spend so much money on useless junk, because black people have this idea that they can buy their way into freedom, just like most Americans have an idea that they can buy their way into happiness.
Wow. I know I try extremely hard not to buy name brand clothes. You know, I wear a lot of African attire, but I refuse to try to buy, because I refuse to be a billboard for somebody else that does not have my interests at heart. You know, so I said, well, why not just wear African clothes? At least I have African interests in my heart, you know. But if people want to walk around with polos and Timberlands and Versace's and all that, I ain't for that. So
I'm not for it either. But you know what, Brother David, let me do a disclaimer real quick, because sometimes I'll see people make posts about me, and I really don't pay attention to the nonsense at all. But I've seen comments about my clothing, and I'll see people say Dr. Umar had on a polo jacket, Dr. Umar had on a polo shirt, you know, and he shouldn't be dressing like that, being who he is and what he represents. I want to clarify something. Brother David, you probably remember the Tories. I believe it was Tories, the big and tall.
Yeah, on Broad Street.
All the athletes, the Eagles, all of them shop there. Well, they closed down about 3 years ago. They closed down when they were closing down, I visited that store for the first time ever in my life. I knew about them, but I never had a chance to go, so I visited them. And at the time I visited them, they were in the process of getting ready to close down permanently. So I was able to buy lots of name brand stuff for the same price I would pay at a cheap dollar store or value store. So the polo shirts that people see me wearing, I didn't pay $60 for them. I paid $10 and $20 for them. So I just wanted to clarify that. I am a very thrifty shopper. I do not, like you, I'm not addicted to name brands.
Mm-hmm.
I have I bought one pair of Air Jordans in my life, only worn once. Traded them over when I went to Africa a couple of years ago. So I'm not into that. So when people see me with name brand stuff, they better understand something.
Mm-hmm.
He got it on sale. Okay, and he got it at a sale price that is equivalent to what he would have purchased if he went to a value store. I wanted to make that clear.
All right, all right.